Good afternoon, HMS Bobcats. Welcome back to another week. Welcome back to another year at the Helena Middle School. Today's Bob lesson, thought it would be fitting to do a Bob lesson on goal setting. A lot of people take the new year to make some New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big New Year's resolutions person. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But for those of you those of you that just want to make goals and set goals, thought I would do a Bob lesson today on the framework of how to put goals and objectives together to make a goal. Before you set a goal, I think I'd like to rewind and talk about how important it is to have goals, because in order to have goals, you have to have a purpose, or you have to have a vision, or you have to have a framework or a vision for your life and what you want. A student asked me last week, Mr. Flato, how do you find motivation? And I think motivation is something that a lot of people struggle with, a lot of young people struggle with, and you struggle with throughout your life. And my answer to that student was, I think you have to have a vision of what you want your life to be, what you want your life, where do you want your life to go, things you want to achieve, and having a vision, having a goal, having a plan of what you want that to be or what you want that to look like. And a big part of that is setting goals. Why am I not a fan of New Year's resolutions? Because I firmly believe that if you want to make a change in your life, set a goal, sit down, look at it, make a change. Don't wait for the new year, whether it's January 1st or March 1st or July 1st. Sit down, make a goal, make a plan, go out, execute it. So I hope you guys enjoy this Bob lesson. I hope this helps some of you. The final part I'd like to talk about is never stop evaluating your life. Life should be fluid. We are fluid human beings. We're constantly growing and changing in one direction or the other. And so to be taking inventory of your life, what's working, what's not, setting new goals, reevaluating goals, I think it's a critical part of human growth. Hope you guys like this Bob lesson.
All right, as promised, this week's Bob lesson is going to be called goal setting. But first, let's be our best at HMS. Let's be safe. Let's be responsible. Let's be respectful. And let's be a learner. Now, as I said in the introduction, I said I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions, and that's just my own personal opinion. Okay, that doesn't mean that needs to be your personal opinion. I am my own human being, just like you are your own human being, and you have to make your own decisions just like I do. But before you get upset with me, let me explain why. The main reason is if something is important to you, you shouldn't have to wait until January 1st of the next year to start making some changes. If you have a goal or something you'd like to accomplish, something you'd like to work towards, something you'd like to achieve, why not make that decision and start working towards that today or next week or right away? Why wait until January 1st of the next year? Conversely, if you need to cut something out of your life, maybe that's an unhealthy relationship, maybe that is unhealthy habits or poor work habits, why not start that process today? Okay, I'm all for moving forward, but I just think that we don't always need to wait until New Year's resolutions to do it, to make New Year's resolutions to do it. Here's an interesting statistic for you I found while doing some research for this Bob lesson. Did you know that only about 8% of New Year's resolutions are kept for an entire year? Does that statistic surprise you? Think about that. Only 8% of New Year's resolutions are kept for an entire year, and I bet if they looked further at that study and said, do people keep those New Year's resolutions further than that, I bet that number continues to decline. And I think that's really surprising, but when you hear me explain why in this Bob lesson, I think you will understand why. I said I wasn't a fan of New Year's resolutions, but I did say I am a fan of goal setting, and these are two different things, and that's what I'm going to explain here coming up. First, so much of being a happy and a healthy human being is based on having purpose or having a reason for getting up out of bed every day and living your life. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot more when we talk about careers, or when so much of becoming an adult and living in that real world that I've talked about in earlier Bob lessons is about having a sense of purpose. And you may not understand that now, but when you get a little bit older, I think you will. As human beings, we need something to pursue. We need a larger reason to live and to be motivated every day. My personal belief is we should be striving to get better every day in every way. That's one of my favorite mottos. I know personally I'm striving every day to be a better school counselor, striving every day to be a better basketball or football coach, striving every day to be a better colleagues, striving every day to be a better friend, striving every day to be a better son, striving every day to be a better dog owner. I just try to get a little bit better every day at everything I do. And I hope that that's a motto that some of you can adopt too if you haven't already. But just striving sometimes isn't enough. We need a sense of direction or a framework or a plan and something to work towards while we are doing this. I said I'm not a fan of New Year's resolutions. I am a fan, however, of goal setting. So let's talk about what exactly goal setting is. First, we got to set a goal that is specific and measurable. Okay, we want to avoid setting goals that are too broad. And when I think about a goal that's too broad is I want to be a good school counselor this year. Well, that's pretty broad. We need something that is specific and something that is measurable. Okay, so maybe a goal that might be relevant for you guys is I want to earn a 3.0 GPA for third quarter. That's specific and that is measurable. At the end of a certain time frame, which I'm going to talk about in one moment, you can ask yourself, did I accomplish the goal or not? The second thing about setting a goal is you want to set something that's attainable, that is, that's doable or within your power to reach. It wouldn't be an attainable goal for me to say by the end of the school year I want to be an NBA basketball player. Okay, I'm all right at basketball, and you'll get to see that in the staff student game, but there's no way I could be an NBA player. I'm too old and I just don't have the skill set that is good enough to be an NBA basketball player. The same thing goes for you guys. Set a goal that's attainable, something that can be reached, something that is within your power to reach, so that we set something that we can work towards every day that we feel like we can accomplish. Third, set a goal that is relevant to your life, your age, and your living circumstances. Okay, it probably wouldn't be a good idea for me to say I want to be President of the United States by the end of the year. Okay, that's not relevant in my life. First of all, and the history teacher is going to kill me if I don't get this right, but I believe you have to be 35 years old to be President of the United States. I'm not 35 years old, okay, and I'm a school counselor. I have no interest in politics. That just wouldn't be a good goal for me. Okay, maybe the same would be for you guys if you set a goal of, I don't know, having a full-time job by the end of the school year. You know, at 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, you can't have a full-time job. So set a goal that is relevant to your life, age, and living circumstances. Finally, set a time frame you would like to achieve this goal. And the main reason for this is, number one, to keep you accountable, and number two, so that you can go back and figure out, did I make my goal or not? Did I accomplish my goal or not? If you didn't, that's okay. Then you go back and you retweak some things and you go after it again. But if we don't put a time frame on it, we can always make that excuse of I'm going to start that next week, or I'm going to achieve that goal. Maybe next year I'll achieve that goal, instead of having a specific time frame attached to it. So within goals, we want to establish some objectives. And if you think about it like your objectives help you reach your goal. So once you have set your goal, set 3 to 4 objectives that will help you reach your goal. Objectives are smaller goal type accomplishments that are within your control. And you see that I have within your control highlighted and bolded, and that is so very important, okay? Because with our objectives, we want them to be something that we have control over. Okay, so we attach 3 or 4 objectives to our goal, and these are reasons, or these are ways that are going to help support reaching our goal, and things that are going to hold us accountable in reaching our goals. So let me give you an example of what this might look like. Okay, let's put goal setting into play here. I mentioned earlier the example of earning a 3.0 GPA or better third quarter. Okay, great goal for some of us. Some of us that might be a little high and maybe not quite as attainable. Some of us maybe we need to up the bar a little bit. Okay, when it comes to goal setting, we got to have something that's going to push us, to make us strive to reach something. So below it, I have 3 objectives, and these 3 objectives are within my control. Maybe the first objective is make it to school 98% of the days for all class periods, okay? This would be a good objective for me to reach that goal. If I'm in school 98% of the time, and I came up with that 98% number because ideally we would like you to be here every single day for every single period, but I know sickness does go around and people do get sick, so I made it 98% of the time. If I achieve my objective of making it to school 98% of the time, that is going to help me reach my goal of getting a 3.0. Let's move over to the next one. I want to, objective number 2, devote 100% focus 100% of the time to classroom instruction for every class. If I go into class every day and I make it an objective of mine to be 100% focused for all 50 minutes or whatever it is of each class period, that is going to help me reach my goal of 3.0 GPA or better. Third, my final objective is complete all of my homework and assignments on time. Okay, that is also measurable. So completing all of my homework and assignments on time means they get completed. The whole assignment gets completed and it gets turned in on time. It's not late. If I achieve that, it's going to help me reach my goal of earning a 3.0 GPA or better. So if you take a step back from this and look at the whole thing, we have a goal which is earning a 3.0 GPA or better, and we have these smaller objectives underneath that are going to help us reach their goals. So they're almost smaller, more achievable goals within a goal to help me reach my bigger goal. I hope that makes sense and I didn't get some of you confused. All right, my goal time frame has came and went. Now what do I do? Well, the first and maybe the most obvious question to ask yourself is, did you accomplish your goal? If your answer is yes, then congratulations. But you're not off the hook. Now it's time to set another goal. Remember, we should always have goals that we are working towards in life, getting back to that purpose, getting back to that being Bob, being our best. Let's make sure this goal now is maybe a little bit more challenging. Remember, your goals should be specific and measurable. When your goals are specific and measurable, you can definitively answer yes or no on whether you accomplished your goal or not. Speaking of not accomplishing goals, if your answer is no, that's okay too. What we do now is we look back and we see what went wrong. We figure out what went wrong and we eliminate that. We can also look back and say, do our objectives need to be adjusted? Maybe we had the wrong objectives in there. Maybe we needed to add a couple more objectives, so on and so forth. Or maybe we need to look back and say, does my goal need to be made more attainable? Remember, it's not failure if you go back and you revise and you start again. If you didn't pass your goal, that's okay. The most important thing is that we're working to get better every day and we're striving for accomplishing goals. Remember, goals are just like life. It's a never-ending process. Keep pushing forward, and like I like to say in my quote, trying to get a little bit better every day in every way. My quote of the week, another quote of the week is, a goal without a plan is just a dream. If you think about that, you hear people talking a lot about what they want to do someday or what they want to accomplish. But they never really sit down and put it down on paper and come up with a specific measurable goal and a time frame and how they're going to achieve it and come up with objectives to help them achieve it. If you're not writing it down and you're not devising a plan, it's not a goal, folks. It's just...
All right, we're off and running on this week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week winners. We got Nolan Drake, Sam Kaiser, Jessica Lemon, Hugo Van Opedal, that's an awesome name, and Annalise Wade. I believe the question was something like take away a letter and turn 7 into an even number. You just take the S away, and it's even. Had a lot of correct responses on this one this week. All right, this week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week comes from the one and only 8th grader, Shannon Berrigan. Thank you for coming up with this one for me. What can run but cannot walk? Has a mouth but never talks? Has a head but never weeps, has a bed but never sleeps. This one's a little trickier, but I think there's some of you out there that can get this one figured out. If you do, submit your answer to the Bob box. Make sure your first name, last name is on it, and get it turned in by the end of the week. All right, Bobcats, let's make it a great week at the Helena Middle School.